Hey guys, Colin here to show you an uppercut drill that you can do in the air as well as on the mokjong, and it starts to teach you also the reverse hammer fist pattern that goes with it. And what it tends to do is it tends to create this upward force that keeps driving and driving upward to uproot your opponent and easily overwhelm them. Now the idea behind this is that you're generating a lot of power from your feet, from the earth, and you're rooting here as you're exploding upward with these strikes. So in order to do that, I'm going to just show you, or explain to you, because I know you can't see my feet, I'm going to explain to you the mechanics of what I'm doing with my feet. I always want to start when I'm doing an uppercut with my knees bent, feet pointed straight ahead, hips and shoulders straight ahead. From this position, what I'm going to then do is I'm going to start with the foot, and I'm going to lift my heel up off the ground. I'm going to turn my foot 45 degrees inward, my knee now facing inward, and that starts to drive my hip that direction. And if you're not familiar with this kind of movement, what it is an inward rotation, or a torque, and at the same time I'm going to start to straighten this right leg. So as I straighten, see how I get twist and drive upward. That kind of power can then be expressed out through my hands and into the opponent. So as I come here, I twist, I push, boom, and then my hand is the natural expression of the end of that motion. So I get all of that effect coming in through my strike. So uppercut drill, if we're not doing a parrying hand with this one, I'm simply, notice it looks like I'm bouncing because I go back to a more bent leg position, but I still get the twist and the rising at the same time. My punch should always come through the center line of my body because I'm not punching somebody over here, I'm not punching them over here, and those two positions tend to take away from the power I get from my trunk lifting up if I try and use it off to another angle. So just like so, and you can really exaggerate that bounce if you want, because you might be bobbing and weaving too, right? And then come up with your shot. So from this, we're just going to add a parry hand. Now I should also mention, you can do the same exercise, just squared off. If the footwork's difficult for you, just start by bringing the fist up through the center line, like so. Notice I turn it like this, and I bring the other one up, so they do a circling pattern, like this. So I come with the uppercut, hand comes back. This is my cocked position here because I get more torque when I come up this way. Alright, getting back to the parrying part here. When I'm doing the parrying, it's the idea that I'm passing a hand here that's potentially striking me. So I'm going to parry and twist as I come up. This hand comes from here to here, opens, and I come here. Notice there's a little twist here that goes on in the hand. Here, a little twist, it's a hunsao. It's a little bit of a shortened hunsao, circling hand, right out of Wing Chun and other types of Kung Fu. Just like so. On the side it looks like this. Just coming like this. This hunsao should be covering my face, it should be coming back to my shoulder here. And I'm just about one thumb's distance from my shoulder. So this could also be used with, I could be parrying here and really stepping off to the side with shots and still using that hunsao hand. Now, why the hunsao hand? A hunsao hand gives us another shot. It gives us got some leaves in the way here as the wind's blowing a little bit. The hunsao has the ability to generate some force when I'm going from elbow in and pointed toward the ground, toward my center line and toward the ground, and I pop it out. There's a twisting motion. See, so palms upward here and facing me as I'm coming with my uppercut. It changes to here, to facing downward, and now we're going to make it change one more time. So the elbow pops out, and then we're going to face the palm outward. So this is using principles of internal Kung Fu and Bagua systems and that sort of thing, of palm changes. But we're putting it into a boxing, close quarter fighting format so that it's something we could translate into the real sort of street application. So as I come here with my uppercut, this is the next part. Notice if I'm just punching and parrying here, there's a space in between. I get shot, space, shot, space, shot, space. Granted, my second hand's here, but it's really not doing much except moving a punch out of the way to block. Now, if I can fill that space up with something, then it becomes unrelenting, meaning that the other person doesn't have the time to recover and get that shot in because there's no space. So as I come here with my uppercut, I'm going to do what's similar to a bong sao. So a bong sao, I pop here, right, in Wing Chun. right? Just like so, with my bonks out. So that same snapping motion, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend it out farther and come with a hammer fist from underneath. So I come uppercut, pop with a hammer fist. Here, here, just like that. Here, 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 here. Okay? So notice what's going on. My elbow's popping up. My elbow's a little bit above shoulder level or at shoulder level. Right? This is consistent with a bong cell, only a bong cell would have more bend in it. I'm extending out if I need to reach with this. This is a nice extension and adaptation from just the, hey, what's going on kind of street altercation situation where I'm just like, hey man, you know, what's the problem? Bam, and I come right in with that reverse hammer fist. That gives you a lot of explosive power, very, very short distance. And as I'm doing that, I'm also taking a step with it if I'm going to use it in that situation. I got my parrying hand up here to protect my head if something else comes. Something comes from this side, I got my hand here. Something comes from this side, I got my hand here. It's coming around this way, I've got my hand here. Okay? Just like so, like a futsal, or cover. So, now, reverse hammer fist. It comes off of kind of a hunsao motion, like I was mentioning, right? So my hunsao comes like this, and notice my palm's now facing outward, right? So I come from palm upward to palm downward to palm outward as I'm going into my bong sao anyway. So why not use that power and generate, again with the feet, the legs, and the hips, that upward momentum. So as I come in with my uppercut, I parry, I come in, and now, notice I've twisted with my uppercut. Now I'm going to twist back to square as I do my reverse hammer fist. The advantage of that is I get torque with it. So I'm coming this way with my uppercut, I'm rising up. With this one, there's a little bob down, and I snap up as I turn this foot either straight or outward, my right foot. So I'm coming one, I turn the foot in. Two, I tend to turn it 45 degrees out with this, so now my whole body's torquing back this way with this shot, and then my next uppercut comes. Remember, this foot, my left foot, has been pointed straight ahead. Now I'm going to turn it in 45 degrees. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, okay? So I'm going to come here. Boom, I'm turning this foot out 45 degrees as I hit here, and then in 45 degrees with the other one. Just like so. Now when I turn the foot out 45 degrees, my heel drops to the ground, and that gives me explosive force coming upward too. And then they start getting linked together, right? So that's the upward force, but notice it's not coming just from my chest up. I've got bend in my legs so I can drive that force from the ground. I'm not going to become so top heavy that it's really easy for somebody to get me off balance. Like I see in Wing Chun sometimes, the guys doing their chain punches, they lose their rooting with the ground and they start coming up high here. Then you can chop down the legs pretty quickly. With this, with the legs more bent, you could even use your adductors, pull the knees in a little bit, kind of like the number 2 stance in Wing Chun if you want. I tend not to use my adductors a little bit, but I don't do the number 2. So anyway, let's translate that to the Mok Chong. So on the Mok Chong, it's a little bit different because we've got 2 rigid arms. And the space is super narrow, and I can't control it by taking an arm and moving it or pushing it out of the way to get my shot a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adapt this a little bit. And what you'll see is I'm not going to get as much power with a reverse hammer fist, but I want to put the intention of that palm change, going from palm up to palm down to palm out, in with that motion. So I'm going to come here. Okay. I'm first going to do just the uppercut here. Now this works fine. I can work this, twisting like so. That works just fine. I can even alternate it with a midline punch. It's like an uppercut to the sternum, just like so. I can also work that on the outside line. Okay, now I can't alternate hand to hand those uppercuts as easily because it's a little different, right? On the outside line, I'm going to check this hand, pass this hand, and I'm going to check it with this hand coming back to cover my head as a shooting hand. So I'm going to come here, 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 and this can become an elbow if I wanted to, right? Grab that elbow in, come here, boom, here. So, that be inside line, outside line with just a straight uppercut. Now, when I switch to the reverse hammer fist, you'll see an adaptation. So come uppercut here, right? Now, this contact point is, I'm just going to get a little bit of space in here, almost like using this as a pivot for the rest of my arm. But because the wooden arms here are so stiff, I can't move now, I have to bring my elbow out a little bit. So I don't get as much upward twist going on and force there, but it still shows the same intention. So I come here, uppercut, right? Parry, reverse hammer fist, uppercut, reverse hammer fist, parry, to uppercut, reverse hammer fist, parry to uppercut, reverse hammer fist, parry to uppercut. So I can just work that back and forth, just straight uppercuts, put in the reverse hammer fist. Now because I've also got this close quarters and stiff arms that I'm working with, a nice way to practice this is that when you think about that reverse hammer fist, maybe they are jammed in too close. Or they've stepped farther back. You don't want to put a punch out there and just leave it out in the air. This isn't a lot of surface area. So what I would tend to do is I'd open my hand up so it would blind their vision a little bit. If I'm in closer, what that's going to do is it's going to cover their face. And I'll show you on the Mokjong how I would do head control, nose control, and eye strike at the same time as I snap the head back. Now the advantage of this snapping the head back like this is that it opens the throat up and it stretches out the front line of fascial tissue here, making everything more susceptible to injury. If it's life or death, now I can now strike the throat. Excuse the background noise, our garbage trucks have decided to come right now. If it's not life or death, I will just go under the chin and maybe fracture the jaw or something like that. So from here, right, my uppercut's right here. Now, instead of the punch, I'm going to turn it to an open hand. If I want to control the chin and the nose, I'll go one under the chin and one under the nose. Now remember, this isn't going to be perfection. Nobody's standing there for you. So the idea is simply to get this part of the hand, kind of the base of the thumb here, under the head here, and I'm doing this kind of a motion over the top of the head, almost like I'm just petting his head, you know, like I'm grooming. We're going to comb the hair a little bit. So here, now I've got control here, and at the eyes. See how I can dig in. If I miss the chin, I'm still going to go for the nose, because the nose, you know, we got bone in there, and you can easily control a person and snap their head back. Again, it's that motion. So I'm snapping like that. You can see just that short thing, right? This isn't the heaviest Mokjong, but there's some power in there. And I'm not even popping the elbow out yet as I'm doing it. So, and even under the nose, I can still get eye control. So it looks something like this. I'll come here, uppercut with parry, head control, uppercut with parry, head control, uppercut with parry, head control, uppercut with parry. So those are some drills you can work on. If you start thinking about that and how you would move around somebody's arms, even if you don't have a wooden dummy, you know, just keep working it in the air and get used to that. And remember, this reverse hammer fist is a bong sao too. So this could, if I did my uppercut here, and another punch is coming here or here, I can always just bong sao into it and then hammer fist back down into my patterns. So there's a lot of uses of this wing arm position here for striking, for controlling the opponent and driving them back almost in a lawn sao position, but an extended one. So a lot of different things to play with.